Hey ladies, it's Coach Steph. It's lunchtime, or at least it is here. It's 12 noon. We are going to talk about negative self-talk. So real quick, I'm not going to keep you long. And if you watch the replay, obviously, say hi, hashtag replay. We're going to talk about essentially self-sabotage, because that's kind of what negative self-talk is, how that's keeping you stuck in your weight loss journey. So up front, I have a mind and body reboot challenge that I am that you can sign up for the wait list. Okay, so waitlisters get first dibs on spots for the challenge and also some extra perks. You can click the link in the description to get on to the wait list. But if you don't know who I am, let me start off there. Let me back up a little bit. My name is Coach Steph. I'm a registered dietitian, personal trainer, and mindset transformation coach. And I help women beat self-sabotage and lose the weight for good through really reconnecting with ourselves. And I have been a registered dietitian for probably since 2007, I believe, and have been coaching for the last several years. This is my dream job, y'all. I love this, and I love helping you to get to the goals that you are wanting. So if you hop on, say hello. Hi, Erica. Thanks for watching. So we're going to be talking about negative self-talk and how that's keeping you stuck in your journey. And so this really, it can apply to your health journey, but it can also apply to your life in general. And so if you have been in my group or if you've watched me talk, like I talk mostly about mindset, right? Because typically we know what to do, right? Like if a workout plan and a meal plan was all you need to get to your goals, like you would have done that already. You would have just Googled it, downloaded the app, it tells you exactly what to do, and you would have done it, right? So there's something keeping you from doing what it is that you know you need to do in your own best interest, and that is what self-sabotage is. Hi ladies, thanks for joining. Yolanda and Damina. Thanks for watching, ladies. So if y'all are not already, get on the wait list for my Mind Body Reboot Challenge. We're going to be talking about reconnecting with ourselves, having that intentional time alone, which is what I call your power hour, and getting reacquainted with ourselves. So not only that, I am going to be talking and giving you a lot of nutrition tips. And there'll be workouts, there's going to be prizes, other things. It's going to be 30 days, $30. Really, it's like super cheap. But I wanted to let everyone have the opportunity to join into the challenge, because I think it's really going to be something a little bit different than what you have done in the past. So talking about negative self-talk today. And so what I want you to understand is that our words have power. So I did a poll in the group. And let me pull that up really quickly. So I said, think about the sentences in your mind, right? And what negative self-talk do you have when it comes to your health journey, your self-confidence, your life, your body image, right? And so these are some of the things that you guys voted for. So the top one was I'm fat, right? The first time I ever heard somebody say that, I actually cried. And it still like makes me emotional when people say that. The second one was I can't control my eating. The third one was I can't seem to change my mindset / weight. And then the third one was I've tried everything and I still can't do it, right? And so those sentences are self-defeating sentences, right? So I don't know that you can get a positive outcome if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to get in better shape or in better health with the thought of I'm fat. Like that thought doesn't produce positive results, right? I can't control my eating, right? Those thoughts don't control or don't produce positive results. And so it's not just about thinking positively, but it's really about recreating who you are and how you show up, right? But it starts with the sentences in your brain. It starts with how you're thinking about yourself, okay? Because our words have power. And so our true thoughts and our true beliefs about who we are, right? It affects our relationships. It affects our demeanor, our career, our money stories, how we deal with money, right? If we're always like in a scarcity mindset or we feel less than, then we may not charge, if we're a business owner, we may not charge what we are really worth because we have self-esteem issues, right? We have self-worth issues. And all of that, especially if you're a business owner, you know, all of your stuff, all of your trauma, all of your insecurities, it all comes up in your business. And it's there to show you and to help you evolve into a higher version of yourself. And so it's the same thing with the weight loss journey. Like if you're struggling with weight loss, it's not that you don't know that like vegetables are more healthy than chips, right? That's not, you know that. But there is something deeper there that is really holding you back. And so our thoughts about ourselves and our belief about ourselves, it really does, it connects in every aspect of our life, okay? But we are responsible for the thoughts that we let linger, right? So if we are thinking I'm fat, right? And so you may not be at the weight you want to be, right? But thinking the thought I'm fat is not going to get you where you want to be, right? And so you have to be responsible for doing a lot of self-coaching, doing a lot of intentional mindset work to rewire how you're thinking about yourself and how you're thinking about your situation, right? And so we actually do have the power to let go of certain thoughts. Our brain, studies have shown that like, I think it's like 60 or 70%, might even be higher than that, of our thoughts are negative, like just regularly, right? So if that is what comes up just naturally, do you know how intentional we must be to combat that, right? To come back and say, oh, no, actually, I am worth it, right? And so it takes a lot of practice, y'all. It takes a lot of practice, and it takes us looking deeper to see, like, why do we feel that way? Like, who taught us that it's okay to treat ourselves in that way? So if we were thinking about like our children, right? And would you ever want your child to say that about themselves, right? And that's one of the reasons why it's super important, like what we say around our kids, because what we say, even if we're talking about ourselves, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'll never be able to afford this, I'll never be able to lose weight, right? The things that we are saying about ourselves, our children are hearing that and they're internalizing that as their inner voice. Right? And so my daughter has said this before, I'll be talking to somebody else and she was like, I felt like you were talking to me. And I was like, wow, no, I wasn't talking to you, right? But it's like, we have to be really careful about what we let come out of our mouth. But also, it's also not about just wishing away bad thoughts either. Right? Sometimes you have to sit with it and say, okay, why do I have all of these negative thoughts? Like, where did that come from? Right? How can I get to the root of that and like sit with that and tell myself, hey, it's going to be okay, right? But you want to know like why you have that thought, why, like how you got taught, right? Because when we are kids, we see our parents, right? And say how we actually show up really matters, because sometimes we're not like saying, okay, yeah, you should think this about yourself, but how we show up is how we're taught to show up, right? That makes any sense. Hi, Samantha. So you can catch yourself in your negative story, okay? When you go down this path of having a negative story, or thinking those negative thoughts that I mentioned earlier, how can you choose a different way of showing up, right? How can you choose a new story that's going to serve you and going to empower you? And it really can start by speaking encouraging words over yourself. So, I've coached people who struggle with affirmations, right? And they struggle because they're like, I don't feel anything. I don't even believe the statements that I'm saying. Like, how does this help me? right? And sometimes what I like to do is back up to gratitude, right? Because most people have felt grateful for something at some point, right? So that's kind of something that our brain can kind of like wrap around and is a good entry point to like even higher level thinking, even though gratitude is a very powerful thing. So even just starting there, like if you have a hard time really getting your energy behind saying more positive things about yourself, back up and start off with gratitude and look at all the things that you have that you can be grateful for. And you really never get too evolved to practice gratitude, right? I remember looking at it was an Oprah video one time, and she was like saying that she gets up every morning, she does something, she listens to something spiritual, and then she'll like write down her gratitude. And I'm like, if Oprah is still doing gratitude, like we should all be doing gratitude, right? Because that's an easy thing that we can all wrap our mind around. Okay. So really the only reason why we don't have what we want or the result that we want is because of the story that we keep telling ourselves why it can't happen. I don't know what to do. I'm fat. I don't have enough time. I'm always the giver and I don't have enough time for myself because I have, too many kids, or my kids have too many activities, right? Like the story that you tell yourself, and this requires you to like stop and pause and think about the sentences that go on in your brain. Intentional time alone, what I call your power hour every day, to sit and recenter and feel, right? Feel how your body is, like what your body is telling you. All of our emotions are real things, like they're measurable vibrations, right? And if we ignore them, which is what we normally do, we just keep on going with our day, we're very reactive, and we're not thinking about how any of this is making us feel, we wonder why we don't feel good, right? Let me read these comments. I usually think about where I used to be to where I am and where I'm going. Exactly. I love that, Samantha. What I call that is thinking in your future self, right? So many times we think about who we used to be, right? And so we can look at that and say like, okay, I can be in gratitude for, where I am now versus where I was, right? And so if you're doing it in that way, that's helpful for you, right? Sometimes we can look at ourselves and say, well, I have failed in the past and this hasn't worked, so I'm a failure. Or I'll never be able to do it because I haven't been able to do it. And that in that way, it's not helpful, only because we constantly need to be thinking, number one, gratitude for where we are, but trying to operate in our highest and best self. And I call that like your CEO self, right? Your highest and best self. If you're a Beyonce lover, I know not everyone loves Beyonce. I do. But like what would Beyonce do? Like your CEO, your highest and best self, what would she do? And I always know the answer to that, right? Like if you're in bed and it's time for you to go work out and you're having this negotiation with yourself and you're like, oh, I don't really feel like going, right? Those are thoughts. Those are thoughts that are going to lead you to a result of not going. But if you start thinking, what would my CEO do? Like, what would my highest and best self do? Like, start visualizing yourself doing it, right? Get your energy up. Leaning into your CEO self, you have a much greater chance of actually getting it done, right? Than if you're thinking, oh, I'm tired, right? If you're thinking you're tired, you're going to be tired, you're going to lay in the bed, right? So you really have to be conscious and aware of what you are thinking. So yes, I love that, Samantha. So, the story that we tell ourselves, right? And so, one helpful way to kind of like rewire our brain is through affirmations. And so I know affirmations, like people say affirmations all the time. I think it's pretty common at this point. They're I am statements, and I like them because it's very simple to do. Like, you can think about it, you can write it down. It doesn't take up any equipment. Like, you're just using your brain. Your brain creates everything. Everything that you see, your brain created the situation, right? So based on your choices, based on the way you spoke or what you attracted to yourself, your brain created all of that. Okay? And so you can create affirmations based on who you are becoming or who you want to become, right? And so you can sit down and write down, like, if you were in your best self, what would that look like? What would it look like for you to wake up and like be in your best self and then be embodying that? Like, what would it feel like? I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, you being at your highest and best self and you keeping that image in your mind and going for that, right? Because if you're constantly thinking about, man, I failed that one time, I tried that keto diet or whatever, or I tried to get this promotion and I didn't get it, or I failed out of school, right? If you're constantly thinking about that, you're going to create more of that. You're going to create more of that failure and more of that energy. But I want you to get into the energy of having, not wanting, but having your highest and best self, achieving that, right? And so I want you to make the distinction too between the wanting and the having, because if we're like wanting, like, oh, I wish I had X, Y, and Z, or I wish I had this body, I wish I had this career, that is a lack mindset. It means that I don't have it right now. What I'm asking you to do is, how can you create that from where you are right now? By embodying the energy of having it already. What would it feel like to have it already? Right? I'm really into vision boards. My vision boards are right here. Okay? And seeing yourself having it and getting into that energy. And so, back to affirmations. I am statements, right? And so you can affirm things that you don't have yet. Like, what is your dream? Especially for women of color. We don't dream big enough. Even when we think we're dreaming big, y'all, we're not. We're not. We've never really been allowed to dream or been told that, yes, this is possible. And so, I even have to work through my own thing of just, in business, worthiness. But it's a constant thing. Like, you never outgrow it, but it's something that we're constantly evolving into, right? So what is your dream for your health goals, right? What is your dream for your money goals? What is your dream for your life goals, your relationship goals, right? Are you just waking up every day and going to work and living for the weekend? Because this is me, okay? This was me. And I would tell my boyfriend, like, he's an entrepreneur and he's all into, the law of attraction and all this. So I was just like, will you leave me alone? I was like, I just want to go to work and I want to come home and be left alone, because that's where I was comfortable, right? And getting, starting a business or public speaking, I never thought that I was articulate. I never thought that I was good enough to have certain positions. And so I just wanted to be in my comfort zone and be behind the scenes. That's me. I was like, I don't need any recognition. Let me just sit back, right? Let me be in my comfort zone, right? But when you dream, when you dare to dream, it gets a little uncomfortable, right? You get a little exposed. You get a little vulnerable, right? And we're not taught to deal with those feelings. We don't want to feel that, right? We don't want to feel those feelings. We just want to sit and be comfortable, right? But in order for us to achieve a higher level of living, we have to start creating a new self-image, right? We have to start creating a higher vibration, getting around and rubbing elbows with people who are where we want to be, right? So let me read these comments. Natalie, I need to definitely get to know my CEO self again. Yes. And as parents, we pour into our kids And then it's like, okay, well, who am I and what do I like? And am I doing anything to make myself happy? So one of the things that I do with my clients, we plan in something that you enjoy, something that makes you laugh, something that makes you, increases your energy level, something that makes you happy just for you, not for you, so you can be happy so that you can be a better mom or so that you can be a better wife. No, that's great. But just for you, because you're a human being that needs that. Planning that into your schedule, putting it on the calendar, right? So affirmations. This is kind of how I structure affirmations, right? And this is all going to also be in the Mind and Body Reboot Challenge. So if y'all are not on the wait list, you can get on the wait list. We're going to be talking a lot more about this. But affirmations, the way that I kind of structure them, they have 4 requirements. Personal, right? You cannot affirm for other people. You can't say like, my daughter will be debt free in, 2026 or whatever. Like it has to be personal. It has to be about you and your journey and who you're becoming, right? They have to be positive. So instead of saying like, I will not emotionally eat, you would say, I am in control of what I put into my body, or I fuel my body with nutritious foods that give me energy, or whatever, right? But you don't want to say what you're not, right? Because you're going to create more of that. So they have to be personal, they have to be positive, they have to be present tense, right? And so I think I used a poor example earlier. I said I will, but it's better to embody that right now instead of saying I will, because I will is more like I don't have it now and it's going to come in the future, right? But the future is fake. The future doesn't ever come. All we ever have is right now. The future always becomes now, right? And so if I can say that wherever I am, there's light and love, right? That means right now is all that matters. The future, if I think about my day in 2 weeks from now, right, I can't really do anything to affect that other than be really present and be the best I can do, be the best person that I can be in this moment right now. And next Tuesday is going to become now, right? So it has to be personal, it has to be positive, it has to be in present tense, and it has to be powerful, which is the most important part. That power, a lot of our power comes from our emotions and building your own vibration, building your own energy, right? And so our emotions are powerful things. It's just like if you hear somebody bumping music, right, down the street, it vibrates your house. You can't see the sound waves, but you can feel them, right? You can see that it's moving physical things around, right? So we can measure sound waves, right? But decibels or whatever you call them. And our emotions are the same thing. Like they are energetic vibrations, and they also can move our physical world. So creating the emotion, it can't just be words on a page. You can't just say, I am strong, and you don't really have any connection to that, right? Your affirmation should make you emotional. That is where the power is. And a good way to help with that is to visualize it. Visualize yourself and visualize your affirmations. Okay? And so creating your own power. I like to think that as like creating your own energy. So for example, if you go to a football game, right? The guys are playing football and you got cheerleaders, right? The guys can play football without the cheerleaders. Okay? Why are the cheerleaders there? Energy transfer. Their job is to get the crowd hype, right? That's what they're there for. Energy transfer. So when they start, cheering and creating their own emotion, right? That transfers to the crowd, and then the crowd, being a large body of people, that energy transfers over to the football players, and they get energized and their adrenaline's going, right? It's all about energy transfer. You can do that on purpose. Another example, if you are setting up date night for your husband, right? He's coming home and you have lit candles, you have, put on something nice, like get the house smelling good. You can all those things that you're doing, you're setting an intention, right? And you're creating a vibration. So when he walks in, he's like, whoa, something's different, right? And it's not just that you lit a candle, because you could light a candle, he could not even pay attention to that, right? It's your energy that he can feel, right? And because you have created a certain energy, right? You've set up the environment. He comes in, he's like, hey, something's different here, right? We create our own vibrations. They are real things. It's the same reason why people, they go to church or they go to like a motivational speaking event, right? They're hearing words, literally going to go hear somebody talk. Why? Because that energy that they have, that passion that they have for what they're talking about gets transferred to the audience, and it makes you want to go and conquer the world, right? It makes you, if you have ever been to like one of those conferences, like it just makes you feel like so powerful, and you're just so motivated and you want to go and do like whatever your dreams are, right? And so words are that powerful. Your intention, you paying attention to your emotions, it's that powerful. You are that powerful, okay? And so they have to be personal. Affirmations have to be personal, positive, present tense, and powerful, right? You create your own energy. Do this every morning. And it doesn't have to be through affirmations. It can be through meditation, mindfulness. It could be through journaling, praise and worship, prayer, like whatever is your thing. You get to decide how you want to show up every day and every morning, right? And so you're going to be banning words like trying, right? Or probably, kind of, right? Say, oh well, I will try to, live my best life. Well, that's not a powerful word. That trying doesn't evoke any emotion, right? Except for lack and self-deprivation. So those words are banned. Trying, kind of, probably, I will, no, right? And so mindset practice, really intentionally creating a mindset practice every day, that power hour. It doesn't have to be an hour, right? It could be 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes of your day to set your intentions, and to really think about who you are and who you want to be. So if you are struggling, it's not typically because you don't know how to get to your goal, right? It's really because you need to reconnect with yourself, find out what your desire is and what you want, like what you really, really want out of life. Like, have you really actually sat down, asked yourself and written that down? Like, how do I actually want to live? Like, what are the feelings that I want to feel? You've got one life to live, right? And understand that we don't have to be perfect to see results. So in regards to your health journey, like this can be applied to anything, but in regards to your health journey, you guys don't have to be perfect to see results, right? And so some of the negative comments that you make about yourself, about like, I've tried everything and I still can't do it, I can't control my eating, right? And so a lot of times it's just like all or nothing. We feel like, oh, we failed at one thing, or maybe we overate on the weekend and now everything is a wash, right? Like none of your progress mattered because you overate on the weekend, right? But what if you had a thought of like, I don't have to be perfect in order to make progress? Like, what kind of feeling does that give you? Gives you a little bit more resilience to say, okay, well, the next time I eat, I'm going to make really good choices. Okay. How can you give yourself more compassion? Can you let yourself off the hook, right? Sometimes we self-sabotage because we're so hard on ourselves. We're so mean to ourselves. We're such a bully to ourselves. We're so self-critical. Like, how can you get a positive result and get to a healthy way or in a healthy space when you're thinking I'm fat? How is that going to be possible? Right? You have to be intentional about combating that, right? So think about what feelings and what thoughts you're trying to ignore about yourself on a daily basis, and what you think about yourself. What you think about your capabilities, your self-confidence. Because all of that, whether or not you're not competent, you don't think you're worthy, all of that, it shows up in your health journey. It shows up when it's time for you to like invest in yourself. It shows up when you have an opportunity maybe to, get a promotion or apply for a job. And you're like, oh, but am I really good enough, right? And so you get into some imposter syndrome where you feel like you're not worthy. Maybe if you have had some success, that it was a fluke, or that, if like you're going to be found out, like I'm not really this great person, even though like I got this award, but I'm not really worthy of that, right? Like your relationship with yourself is going to show up, and every relationship that you have is a mirror to how you're relating to your own self. Okay? So how can you have your own back? One way that you can have your own back is to sit with yourself and be with you, uninterrupted and alone, away from your kids. For those of us that have young kids, right? How can you have your own back? How can you comfort your own self? So I've been doing some, I've just been learning about inner child work and going back to certain things that like trauma, or like things that just like hurt your feelings that you remember from like when you're a child, and how that comes up and affects you now. And going back and telling your younger self like what you needed to hear. Maybe as your younger self, you needed to hear that you're safe, or that you're protected, or that you're beautiful, or that you don't have to be fearful. Like I spent most of my childhood scared of everything. And as an adult, just now realizing like, oh my God, that was anxiety, and I still struggle with that now. But what I needed to hear was that it's okay, right? You don't have to be scared. There's nothing to be scared of. You don't have to suppress certain parts of who you are in order to be validated by other people, right? So safety for me is like a really big thing. Like I don't like to take risks. I don't like people that I don't know too much. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, who's gonna be there? Like it's just like everything is just like, okay, wait, pause. Like let me, I have to overanalyze everything. And all that comes back to childhood, and what I needed to hear was, it's okay. Like, just relax. You're safe. Everything's going to be okay, right? And so sometimes we don't tell ourselves that. We tell ourselves, I'm fat, I'm failing, I can't do this, right? And so think about, telling a child that, because all of us, we still have an inner child. Think about saying that to a kid, right? Like how unkind is that? Like how unkind are you being to yourself on a daily basis when your body shows up for you? Like if you're watching this right now, your body shows up for you. Your ears are working, your eyes are working, your heart is beating, your mind is working. This is the body that hugs your children. This is the body that has shown up for you for decades. This body right here, the one that you think is horrible, that you think is fat, this body has shown up for you all this time, and we're like bashing it in our mind. So we have to really work on rewiring our self-image, reconnecting with ourselves, loving ourselves, giving ourselves more compassion. Okay, I think that's all that I have for y'all today. I really, 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 really want y'all to sign up for the Mind Body Reboot Challenge. If you're not already on the wait list, I know I see several people on here that are already on the wait list, y'all. Y'all be checking your emails this week. That's all I'm gonna say. But if you're not on the wait list, get on the wait list. Thank you guys for watching today. I really wanted to just, the big takeaway is who you are becoming matters, and the words, the sentences in your brain matter, and they're affecting your health journey. They're affecting the way you show up at work, the way that you show up in parenting, in your career, in your relationships. It all is showing up. So what are we going to do, right? We want to live our best life and live in our CEO self. We have to reconnect with ourselves. and really be intentional about who we are becoming. So, ladies, thank you so much for watching today. I'll be back next week for another live, and hopefully I'll see you in the Mind Body Reboot Challenge. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great lunch. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.